Santa, what's shaking, man?
With the airing of Simpsons Roasting on an Open Fire in December 1989, TV animation was reborn. It's easy to take the early episodes of The Simpsons for granted these days, but they were really forward-thinking. This is a story about a man who doesn't have enough money to provide his family with a substantial Christmas, but he fights to get whatever he can for them in ways that are as difficult for him as they are entertaining for us. That man is Homer Simpson, who would go on to become one of the biggest idiots in the history of fictional characters. But what keeps him in check is that most of the stupid things he does result from or are in order to provide for his family. And while in 99% of cases, what happens in one episode doesn't impact the rest, what he ends up getting them at the end here is Santa's little helper. The jokes are humble and the animation is still developing, but this is a Simpsons episode you need to see to understand what made it so successful. 'Twas the fight before Christmas is what you would want out of a Powerpuff Girls Christmas special in terms of colour, action, and entertaining narration. Seeing Townsville during the holidays is a fresh experience, with colourful new backgrounds and props that give the special its own distinct atmosphere. The story is a pretty simple one. Princess Morebucks wants to be a Powerpuff Girl again, so goes over to Santa's workshop to change his naughty and nice lists in her favour. The fact that she's the only child on Earth on the naughty list is a stretch, but for the sake of the story, it's fine. The real knock against this special is its 45-minute runtime. Scenes can feel very padded, and the race to the North Pole takes forever. I recommend it if you're a Powerpuff Girls fan, but for anyone else, just had to warn you about the length. As one of the last episodes of the Ren and Stimpy Show, a scooter for Yaxmas may not elicit much excitement. The show ran for 5 years, but it changed a lot and was pretty long in the tooth by now. But to be forgiving, I like the first half where we're immersed in the traditions of Yaxmas. It shares commonalities with Christmas, but is overall grosser, more off-kilter, and Stimpy's frustration at not getting the present he wants is well conveyed.
It's the thought that counts, some say.
The second half, however, where Stimpy gets the scooter by accident and sadly goes on the run, isn't as funny or inventive. The holidays are a time where you're allowed to get sappy, I suppose, but this shifted gears into a story that felt more cloying than necessary for a show that basks so well in irreverence. Mixed bag all around, but you're left getting just enough out of their silly Yaxmas traditions. Xmas Story came at a time of reflection for Futurama. Fry had been in the future for a year at this point, and was almost completely used to it. It seems all he had left to learn was that in the year 3000, Santa is an evil robot that blasts people who stay out late at night.
You've all been very naughty indeed. Except you, Dr. Zoidberg, this is for you.
That's a novel take on the iconic figure that, unsurprisingly, drew controversy for terrifying younger viewers to the point they had to delay their next Christmas special by a year and air it at 9:30. But I digress. It's nice to see how Xmas is celebrated in New York, with an air of full-on trepidation. The culture is different, but the goal is still to huddle up with loved ones and express kindness and generosity. Bender does not do that, opting to mooch off the homeless shelter. Like I said, Christmas culture is quite different in the future. The Santa Experience was one of Rugrats' first holiday specials, but remained one of its best. It's about Angelica being a bratty little kid as always, ripping off Mall Santa's beard and conning Phil and Lil, before learning that naughty kids get lumps of coal. So she's got to reverse that con in order to save herself and get back on the nice list, or so she believes. Angelica's our main focus here, but you aren't left disappointed with everyone else. All the regulars have something to say or do, Charlotte even makes her first appearance here, and the magic of the season shoots out at you with the ending. Santa does arrive and give Angelica what she deserves. But not the guy in the suit they hired. Either that or this is the guy they hired, and this is some confused drunk who got the wrong number. I like my interpretation, but it's not better. Animaniacs took a swing at A Christmas Carol and came away with A Christmas Plots. They had a Scrooge-like rich guy in Roger Plotz and 3 entities who torment him, so it would be a missed opportunity not to do this. There's a handful of songs interspersed. They're okay, but not the show's best or least perverted. The character who benefits most from this story is Ralph, who's humanized a bit here. He's always been a goon without much of his own agency, so to see him get the sack on Christmas Eve isn't very nice. And it looks like if Nora doesn't step in, Ralph Jr. is going to continue the abusive CEO cycle that Roger Plotz leaves behind.
And tell that Urkel guy he's too old to wear his pants that high. It's embarrassing.
But the Warners scare Roger into accepting a second chance, save Christmas for Ralph and his family, then go and meet Jesus.
Can you believe I'm doing this for scale? Hey, where's my $464? I gotta get a new agent.
Don't worry, this isn't another Christmas Carol episode so soon. The idea is that in this episode of the Looney Tunes show, the city is hit by a heat wave, so Lola writes her own Christmas play to restore its holiday spirit. It has nothing to do with A Christmas Carol.
You are nightclub impresario Rick Evans.
Meanwhile, Foghorn attempts to restore the cool weather by installing a giant fan in the North Pole, a plan so mind-numbingly stupid, even with the strongest cartoon logic, that Santa has to come in at the end and fix the problem, along with Lola's. The story is held together by ludicrous plans that don't work as intended, but with any holiday endeavors, it really is the thought that counts. And how about that catchy, adrenaline-raising Christmas song it all ends with? It's nice to see them all happy together once in a while. Not that Christmassy, done A Christmas Carol, reviewed that years ago. I guess this'll do. Half Swarming is a solid episode of Milk Thim, continuing the plot thread of the Apple and Pie family's possible relation. It gets to the conflict of meeting a family that has seemingly strange and tedious holiday traditions. It's nice to see Maude again.
I had a dream once I was an apple.
We have a lot in common when it comes to thinking about turning into things.
But the rest of Pinkie Pie's family is bizarre and set enough in their ways for Applejack to try and intrude with her idea of half swarming. The message is spelled out in bright neon letters as always, but for a situation that people can still struggle with at any point in their lives, it's useful. Accepting that others encounter the festivities different from you is a good skill to have, especially Amish ponies. The Fairly OddParents has a great special to share in Christmas Every Day. It's shown that Christmas is the one day that provides Timmy Turner with comfort, relief, and joy. So he wishes for every day from then on to be Christmas, which throws the world into disarray and draws the ire of other holiday mascots besides Santa, who's shown here to be a slick office worker with once-a-year magic powers. The special provides some world building for the show, expanding the range of fantasy characters they can interact with, while also giving Timmy a harsh lesson to learn about the restricted nature of Christmas. It's an ecstatic time of year for him, so it does its best to put him down easy, even giving him an adventure to go on. All world stage tensions are ignored to save Santa. That's the most realistic thing to happen in the whole show. A close second is acute eggnog addiction.
We love you, Noggy.
Mine!
Marge Be Not Proud isn't one of my favourite Simpsons episodes, but it is my favourite to be about Christmas. You've probably seen it 100 times by now, but if you haven't, it's the one where Bart is desperate for a new video game and gets caught shoplifting it, which creates a rift between him and Marge as she no longer treats him the same way. The Simpsons had done stealing episodes before, but to date, this is the one that had lain the most guilt on the thief. Bone Storm seems like the coolest game ever for a kid like Bart, but then getting caught taking it is the worst feeling ever. It's also hard on Marge, as from her perspective, she's no longer sure how to treat her son. It's a tough situation for both of them, but they work through it when Bart gets a present that fixes one of their annual traditions. Is Marge Be Not Proud on the gooey, overdramatic side? I never got that complaint as a kid and still don't get it today. It's pretty no-nonsense in depicting the way a crime can damage family togetherness this time of year, and remembers to throw clever jokes at you every chance it gets. I will say it's a sentimental episode that doesn't try to subvert any holiday vibes, but none of the Simpsons holiday romps had up till now. They've always respected what holidays mean to individual people. Here, they decided to make an insanely edgy desired present, throw in a lot more fear and tension than usual for Christmas time, make the ultimate reward for this tough episode a stupid shovelware golf game.
You have entered Power Drive.
and it all combines into a one-of-a-kind episode. What if Santa and Mrs. Claus had a marital conflict, and Mrs. Claus was a vampire? That must have been how Billy and Mandy Save Christmas was thought up. It was on point and in character for this show to take this iconic family and douse it in some horror, pretty much turning Santa's wife into Dracula. Like plenty of episodes from this period of the Grim Adventures, it's about introducing this strange new location with freakish new characters, then testing how grim Billy and Mandy each react to it. Mandy has some interesting reactions to the existence of Santa, trying to keep it cool, but clearly not as nonplussed as usual. And Grim and Billy are clearly enjoying themselves in different ways.
I was right! Santa is real! I think this calls for the Billy was right dance!
But there's still enough peril and danger because remember, they're fighting a vampire on Christmas Eve. And it's alright, you can do worse with these three. Wait till the end to see Grim enjoying a day for once. In this primetime Emmy-winning episode of Pinky and the Brain, Brain tries to take over the world by harnessing the power of Christmas presents. He's made a doll in his image, Noodle Noggin, that he hopes to use to hypnotize everyone on Earth on Christmas morning. One of his more ambitious plans, it also dependent on everyone celebrating the exact same holiday at the exact same time, accounting for time zones. But that isn't the focus. At first, the focus is on his and Pinky's escapades through Santa's workshop, trying to get the noodle noggins on everyone's wish list. But it then becomes more about Pinky and his letter to Santa, which he never ends up delivering. But Brain reads it just in time to change course.
So please, take anything that you had for me and give it to my best friend in the whole world, the Brain.
It's so heartfelt, you can pinpoint the moment Spielberg gave it a helping of his magic beam. And you have to love how, after reading the letter, what Brain also learns is to get Pinky a spell checker for Christmas. They really like each other. Phineas and Ferb is my favourite animated show, period, so there's a lot riding on its Christmas special for someone like me. And it's great to report that it delivers. In this out-of-season detour, Phineas and Ferb know what they're gonna do on Christmas Eve 3 times. It's that kind of day for them. They give Santa a place to take a pit stop, but then when Danville is covered in a naughty cloud, they put together a song to prove they aren't naughty. And lastly, when some elves come to check on everything, they deliver presents after the naughty cloud clears. They do all these things not to get on the nice list, but to thank Santa for all the years he's delivered their presents. There's a twinge of doubt in the middle when Candace implies that all the mayhem they get up to in the summer makes them naughty, but we know that's not what's going on a character level or a story level, because we've got a B and C plot to go along with this. The B plot is about Doofenshmirtz being conflicted on Christmas. He's got no tragic backstory to motivate him to create the naughty clouds at first, but there's one thing able to push him over the edge, and that's carolers. They're one of the best Doofenshmirtz grievances in the whole series, with how aggressive they are in their demands, how easily they change his mind, and how easily they're qualmed when it turns out Doof does have figgy pudding somehow.
Come on, guys, let's do But It's Christmas, Becky!
You gotta get over me, Josh.
The C plot is Candace's challenge in getting Jeremy the perfect Christmas present. It takes a lot of build-up, but it's a gift of the Magi homage. Good stuff and a great special with many catchy songs and memorable moments, but make sure you're watching the extended version to get the full experience. The Gift duology is a microcosm of some of my favourite things about Wander Over Yonder. The story is, it's the larger universe's holiday time, so Wander and Sylvia go around delivering gifts to everyone they've met over the past season.
Of our lives!
It's cute, colourful and satisfying in a silly way. There's no other episode that's this carefree. They sneak into Lord Hater's ship just to give the watchdogs gifts. The holiday spirit overrides what remains of Wanda's common sense, and it's magical. What makes it even better is the second part, the giftening, where we see how the events play out from the perspective of Hater and Commander Peepers. They're horrified that the watchdogs are becoming happy. It's like a zombie apocalypse movie on their side. Even more so does it prove how every episode can be something different, because it's the same story with a different mood. Making this a two-parter with the same story knocks out two birds with one stone. We get a good sense of what the holidays are like for both parties on the show. A great way to cap off this season
of our lives.
Codename Kids Next Door went in a parodic direction for their Christmas special, Operation Naughty. But I don't think anyone was expecting the parody to be X-Men. They even get Tom Kenny to narrate the story in a Stan Lee voice.
So, you thought Santa still used a regular old sled and reindeer, eh, Christmas fans?
I'm not a die-hard superhero fan, but I can recognize the appeal of X-Men, and these Xmas helpers exude it. They're fighting the kids next door because they've been framed by the Delightfuls for infiltrating Santa's sleigh, which has been upgraded for modern times, in order to get themselves every present on Earth this year. An interesting plan of theirs taken down in a twisty-turny way, in that number 3 then tries to take over their plan. She felt a bit dejected by her team at the start of the episode, but it's still a pretty rash decision to make. I sort of get her pain though, and it's also number 4 can offer the smallest of presents to her. The relationship drama is pretty thin, but as an action-packed ride, Operation Naughty does its job well. Only Mickey Mouse can be such a happy guy that getting snowed into a building counts as his magical Christmas. This direct-to-video special takes the House of Mouse formula and extends it to an hour's length. Some relatively new shorts with Mickey and friends, some classics if you've been good this year, and a wraparound story that's not especially elaborate, but it's thoughtful here. It isn't as fun being snowed in if Donald Duck doesn't cheer up, so Mickey has to resort to wishing upon a star for Donald to have a Merry Christmas. It's smart how they work the Disney anthem into the Christmas theming, with the wishing star being placed on top of the tree, but you're here for the on-screen Christmas tales, aren't you? You get an eclectic mix of Donald and Nephew's shenanigans, Pluto barking at chipmunks, a Nutcracker retelling where the narrator doesn't mention the war, and Mickey's Christmas Carol, which seals the deal. It's a little unfair on the rest of the stories actually, this one is just so good. As it's wrapping up, you almost forget you're watching House of Mouse, it's such a classic in its own right. So I would say this movie is well worth the price of admission on the secondhand market, and is suitable for all ages. It is recommended you watch with younger children on their first viewing. So parental guidance is recommended? Why is it rated U then? At least rate it U.5 or something, how did Mickey let this slide? It's just as we always feared. Jimmy Neutron is a Santa denier. This skepticism stems from an unreceived Christmas present years back, and his scientific interests making it harder for him to believe in the ultimate fantasy. If you want to look at how Jimmy had changed as a character since the movie and early episodes, this is as good an example as any.
Santa's house.
Not necessarily. It could be a cleverly disguised army outpost.
Even at Santa's workshop, he's in denial of Christmas magic up to the point that he gets the Jolly Man's Adams scrambled. The third act is pretty much his sleigh-bound community service. What's everyone else doing? Cindy and Libby's role here makes little sense and has minimal payoff, but there's a nice thought in what Hugh and Judy go through. When Christmas is briefly cancelled, they start a new pie-themed holiday, Pule. Pie Day had already been observed when this episode aired, but shh, let the act of exchanging meaningful gifts play out in its own Huey way. Story-wise, Holly Jolly Jimmy doesn't make complete sense, but it's entertaining enough with its jokes and musical numbers for me to give it consideration every Christmas. In The Fright Before Christmas, we follow poor Danny, who gets himself trapped in a poem Uncanny. He's never had a good December 25, and he'll be lucky to make it through this one alive. The villain is Ghost Rider, he's quite the troll. Wrecking Danny's holiday is his goal.
I won't keep this up.
Danny said to the writer.
There's no poem if I'm silent.
Now, let me tell you something.
Can't you make Dad not fight her?
A plan too cruel and abominable were it not partly to save the boy's holiday spirit. This cold Christmas Eve is a blame-heavy nightmare, as iconic as the hour-length show at the Fright Fair. Is everyone turned against Fenton? Not all, because we learn that the ghosts have a Christmas truce call. They're mean and they're evil, but cut them some slack. Christmas means something to this naughty pack. Most of it rhyming is no tacked on gimmick. It makes it more fun, something I had to mimic. So let's all thank this childish poet bound to Arrested Development horsing around. The next short will be up tomorrow this time. I promise you I won't do that one in rhyme. Topper feels like 2 episodes of Lilo and Stitch the series grafted together, one about Stitch learning to keep his gift unwrapping hands to himself on his first Christmas in Hawaii, and the other about saving an experiment from Gantu's clutches again. The first half is the weaker one, with a lot of heartbreak throughout the island being avoidable had Stitch simply told Lilo he was looking for a cousin in one of the gifts he stole. Once they have to read his mind to know what he was doing, then the second plot gets going. Credit where it's due, the second plot is better, and more like what you'd want out of a Lilo and Stitch Christmas adventure, playing around with the holiday items and keeping it all about togetherness, as Gantu doesn't have it in him to send the experiment to Hamsterville.
No, that's not fair. Stop looking at me like that. Cease using your ocular orbs to gain sympathy.
His heart's made of plasma, not stone. It's also a nice change of pace to get a Christmas episode set in a tropical locale, a different vibe that helps it stick out from others in this advent. You know how I said in the Marge Be Not Proud installment how classic Simpsons holiday episodes were happy to embrace those special dates on the calendar? That was ignored during the preteen seasons, changing the tone of the show in a significant way. Miracle on Evergreen Terrace is the biggest example of this, once again having Bart mess up big time on Christmas, and this, I would argue, is cloying to the audience. How he hides the mess and when the family wake up are contrived, so it relies more on emotional tactics than clever storytelling, and doesn't stop when the mess is uncovered and the town turns against the Simpsons. Not just Bart, the whole family, for apparently taking their money when they themselves didn't know what had happened to their presents and tree. Miracle on Evergreen Terrace then tries to see how humiliating and pessimistic it can get before the script explodes. Here's why I don't think it's a flat-out awful episode. For one, the bar sank so much lower after this. I can still say I laughed a lot at this one and remember the story.
Hey sir, you promised they'd be miserable. What the hell's going on?
Another thing, I don't mind the resolution they were trying to go for, that material possessions are nice and all, but the Simpsons should be glad to have each other. In a vacuum, that last little bit with the washcloth is really good. They found something to enjoy as a family. Is it worth the first 21 minutes getting there? For some jokes, yes. For the story, no. When recess time gave way for Christmas time, they made their episode a test of faith. Yes, Mikey, Santa Does Shave is about that point in childhood where it starts to get harder to believe in Santa Claus, and Mikey still hasn't had the illusion shattered for him.
Santa's real, and if you guys don't believe it, then I'll just have to prove it to you.
It's the Tooth Fairy incident all over again.
But the more he tries to prove to his friends that Santa's real, the more the illusion breaks around him, to the point he refuses to participate in the school's suddenly big, globally broadcast Christmas production. I mean, general winter holiday production that treats the others like items to tick off. It's representation at the very least. But Mikey does eventually learn to love Christmas again, with the help of a jolly old man who might just be Santa. And even if he isn't, the message is very clear and very helpful for viewers around Mikey's age, that just because it's impossible to verify Santa's existence, that doesn't mean Christmas isn't a joyous time of year where sharing gifts is made a greater feeling. It's a part of growing up and becoming a stronger, kinder person. To think, this could have gone in a completely different direction had the mall Santa not had a trick knee. The Cleveland show made at least one firm statement during its run: Die Hard as a Christmas movie. And I kind of agree. Yes, the Christmas Eve setting is nearly irrelevant to the story, but those Yuletide flourishes shine a lot more when you watch it closer to the holidays, which is why Die Semi-Hard only acknowledges it's a Christmas movie at very brief intervals, instead focusing on spoofing the plot beats and action set pieces. It's not up to par with Family Guy's Star Wars trilogy, but at least it's not as phoned in as that trilogy's later installments. This seems like something the staff really liked the idea of and wanted to do. I just wish the jokes landed a bit more, and that the Cleveland show's characters were so memorable ordinarily that they went by the names of the roles they're playing instead of their regular names. If I was a diehard fan of Die Hard and this is how I learnt about the Cleveland Show character Holt and his gimmicks, I wouldn't know what to do with myself.
Will you tell us the sequel next Christmas?
Let's see what the internet says about this one first.
To answer Cleveland's question, no, we're good. Ed, Edd and Eddy's Jingle Jingle Jangle marked a point of change for the series. It appears the whole cul-de-sac's New Year's resolutions included moving to digital ink and paint and out of the once endless summer setting. But some things never change, and their Christmas Eves are still anything but fair or tranquil. Eddy discovers he's getting nothing but clothes from his parents for Christmas.
A dickie? They still make these?
So he tries to spend the night with, dear God, anyone else on the street. But Eddy keeps managing to get kicked out or find it's not worth celebrating with them. It all leads to him making the bare minimum of an unselfish action, replacing a Christmas tree light bulb, which somehow almost saves him and teaches him about the feeling of giving. Almost. Sorry this one was more of a plot recap than the others, but there's not much to analyze here, despite it being one of the few times Eddy's thrust into a character arc. Of note is that this is one of this year's specials to have the most biblical imagery. Could Jesus exist in the Ed, Edd and Eddy universe? That's up for you to decide. Arnold's Christmas transcends being the Christmas special of Hey Arnold, taking its chances and coming out as one of the most celebrated episodes of the entire show. Arnold is Mr. Huen's secret Santa, and he learns that Mr. Huen moved to the city to see his daughter Mai again, who was separated from him during the fall of Saigon. So finding her again is Arnold's plan for a Christmas present. A lot of people can relate to the Huens here. This is a great time of year to reconnect with your family. But what if you can't find them? What if the useless horrors of war have torn yours apart? With this most noble of present plans, Arnold and Gerald are almost but not able to complete the shopping required to satisfy this miser of a public records drone. You can predict they're doomed to fail with how big the list is, but it's still commendable that these 4th graders stuck out and did all this Christmas Eve shopping. The troubles aren't that exaggerated, they're as realistic and humble as the rest of the story.
See, this is gonna be easy.
Go ahead, kid. Tell us what you want.
A pair of Nancy Spumoni snow boots.
But Helga, searching for the ultimate gift for Arnold, just so happens to have that missing present, and knows what she has to do to make Arnold's, Mr. Win's, my Win's, and the miser's daughter's Christmas. This is a night on which miracles can happen, a night where families can come together, and a night where faith can be strengthened. If you haven't seen Arnold's Christmas already, your Christmases aren't complete. Rocko's Modern Christmas opens up with Rocko's house situated underneath a constipated snow cloud. If you can think of a better way to set the tone, I'd like to hear it. There isn't much Christmas cheer in O-Town, and it seems like there hasn't been for a long time. But Rocko is determined to be as helpful and optimistic as ever, planning a Christmas party that quickly goes from gathering to soiree, and warmly greeting his new neighbors, elves. It's one of those episodes that leans into Rocko's fish out of water role in the series. He views Christmas as a day to celebrate togetherness, but everyone else's goals for the holiday are profit-oriented, or vindictive in Ed Bighead's case. But by sharing the right motivation to the littlest elf, the Wallaby earns his white Christmas. So if you wanted it to snow today, kids, all you had to do was meet elves. I'm sure it's not that hard. And it really doesn't matter what exactly you celebrate. I hope you're having a Merry Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Festivus, 5th day of Rajab, New Year's Eve, or Taiwanese Constitution Day today. The big reason I created Animated Advent this year was because there weren't enough series reviews for me to make a meaningful best episodes list. But I'll merge it with the 2026 list when the next holiday season comes around. I'll be tempted to revive Animated Advent for that year too. It was also a chance for me to revisit shows I haven't touched on the channel or even re-watched in years. And I've only scratched the surface. I could keep this going for several years before I run out of Christmas episodes from shows I've covered. But I hope to get to those after a busy and worthwhile 2026.